Coming up on today's show, we talk about what's going on around LSU sports with Cam Cameron, the baseball team, and more.
Plus, we talk about the oh-so-riveting NBA trade deadline that passed today and how it affected the New Orleans Hornets.
All this coming your way. Sports Showtime's bottom of the ninth starts right now. Welcome to Sports Showtime's bottom of the ninth. I'm Alex Cheney.
And I'm Patrick Clay. Thanks for tuning in. A quick update on the LSU women's basketball team. The Lady Tigers game tonight at Mizzou has been postponed due to the snowstorm currently hitting the area.
The game is rescheduled for tomorrow at 1 p.m., but will not be televised.
A basketball game getting postponed due to snow. Why is Mizzou in the SEC again?
It doesn't happen very often. LSU football has a new offensive coordinator. LSU hired former Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator Cam Cameron to a 3-year, $3.4 million deal. The deal is worth $600,000 in the first year and $1.3 million in 2004 and $1.5 million in 2015. This deal makes Cameron the highest paid offensive coordinator in the SEC. The Ravens fired Cameron following Week 11 of the last NFL season. Former Indianapolis Colts head coach Jim Caldwell became the interim offensive coordinator and led the Ravens offense to a Super Bowl victory. You have to wonder, where's all this money coming from for LSU?
Well, Alex, what I like to say, it's from the OWGs, the old white guys, because right now LSU football is in the golden age right now, and the alumni want to see that going. It's obvious with the two of the most highest paid coordinators in the nation with John Chavis and now Cam Cameron. It's clear they're funding money into the department and want to keep it going, and it makes sense because that offense needed an upgrade.
Huge commitment to their football team. Obviously, they want to bring more wins for the Tigers and get Zach Mettenberg the tools he needs to be a more successful quarterback in the SEC.
Moving right along, LSU made its triumphant return to the Diamond last Friday with a weekend home sweep of the Maryland Terps. The Tigers swept the series by a total score of 20-3, and LSU sophomore right-handed pitcher Aaron Nola dominated in his first Friday start, pitching 6 2/3 and only giving up 2 hits with 1 walk and 9 strikeouts. The Tigers also took the field Tuesday night and beat Lamar University 8-1. Alex, how good is this Tigers baseball team?
I'm really impressed with this team so far. I was really worried last season Kevin Gosman left, Hanover left. I thought there might be a step back in the talent pool. This Tigers team has shown to be resilient. Their defense is outstanding. They've only given up 5 earned runs so far through 4 games, which is outstanding. They're hitting the ball better, only that 1 run in that first game. But this team is slowly starting to get it together.
You mentioned talent leaving from last year, and that's very important to this year's team. They have a lot of freshman talent, and what's going to be key is the development of those players. We got Alex Bregman in the infield. He's already made some great defensive plays. And Mark Laird out in the outfield making some diving snags against Maryland. The development of these players and the rest of the freshman class, that's going to be huge for this LSU baseball team. And also the importance of the third pitcher, Bonvillain, and we saw Glenn pitch pretty well against Lamar. And we'll have to see how he does against more strong talent and competition. But right now, the third pitching rotation, that's looking solid, and that needs to keep up.
I want to see more web gems from this LSU baseball team. Coming up after the break, we check out how the Hornets fared last night under the bright lights of national television.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Entering the All-Star break, the New Orleans Pella Hornets had a bit of a hot streak going, winning 4 of their last 5 games entering the intermission. But since resuming play, the Hornets collapsed in the 4th quarter at home against the Bulls and looked to bounce back last night against the Cleveland Cavs on national television. Let's take a look. See Kyrie Irving coming off a strong All-Star break, warming up with his teammate, and Eric Gordon sitting on the bench, still not able to play in the second of back-to-backs. Picking it up in the first quarter, 3.2 seconds left. Ryan Anderson puts up a prayer, and it goes in. No one saw that coming. Let's take another look. Ryan Anderson just getting the ball from the inbounds pass. Double covered, doesn't matter. Leader in 3 points made and attempted in the NBA, but that was later made a 2. Picking it up later in the game, in the fourth quarter, Kyrie Irving to the paint, tying the game at 81, and the Kyrie Irving show was just about to start, showing why he won the three-point shootout over the weekend, giving the Cavs a 5-point lead, but it was not done yet. Kyrie Irving, look at this play, juking out Roger Mason, should be a carry, but, whatever. Final score, Cavs 105, Hornets 100. And can we go back to the Eric Gordon situation here? We heard talks about the Hornets possibly trading Eric Gordon to the Golden State Warriors for Klay Thompson and a package built around that. And honestly, I would love for that to happen. Deadline passed, so it can't. Right now, the Hornets are paying Gordon $14 million a year to basically sit on the bench and mess up the team's chemistry. He can't even play on the second night of back-to-backs because of a sore knee that he's taken 2 years to not even fully recover from. Right now, he's averaging more turnovers than assists, shooting just at 40%, and somehow still whining about this past offseason. Just look at USA Today. As long as the Hornets management try to put up with this crybaby and say that he's going to be the face of the franchise, this is going to take away from Anthony Davis's identity with the Hornets, and I don't think it's going to do anything but good. Not do any good at all.
With a team like the Hornets that has seen such a large roster turnover from last season, it's very important to be able to get those guys together, create the chemistry, because especially in a sport like the NBA and NFL, huge team games, okay? Baseball is very, one way. You play well, you hit the bat well, you're fine. NBA, you got to get the passing down, the shooting well, you got to know where guys want it. So for Eric Gordon not to be out, for him to be their guy, he's doing a great disservice to his team, not only in the financial department, but in team chemistry.
Absolutely. When you have your best player only playing, 2 of 5 games a week, that's not going to help the chemistry at all.
Well, the Hornets didn't make any moves at the trade deadline. Let's take a look. Earlier today, other GMs around the league shook up the landscape of the NBA with several groundbreaking moves.
Here's a summary of today's action. Yikes. Seriously, when Thomas Robinson going to the Rockets is the biggest news of the trade deadline, you know it's a snooze fest.
JJ Redick goes to the Bucks, and seemingly the biggest name to be traded, a bench player.
Ouch.
And Jordan Crawford, LeBron James' best friend, going to the Celtics.
That's actually not a bad pickup for the Celtics. All they sent was some expiring contracts in Barbosa and get back a good perimeter shooter. But Ronnie Brewer going to the Thunder, that might actually be one of the more underrated moves of this deadline. It gives the Thunder even more perimeter defense on an already dangerous team entering the playoff race. So we'll see what happens. Coming up after the break, I give you my personal take on the recent LHSAA football postseason proposal.
You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Last month, the Louisiana High School Athletic Association passed Resolution 18 by a vote of 206 to 119. The resolution calls for the split of the LHSAA football postseason bracket into 2 tournaments. One between select schools, including private schools, charter schools, lab schools, etc., and one between non-select schools, public schools.
The association held a meeting earlier today to discuss possible modifications to the wording of the proposal. John Heiser, principal of Edna Carr High School in New Orleans, says changes need to be made.
I believe this measure was a punitive measure imposed because of frustration and perception. I go back to what Father Lou said earlier, equity and fairness demands if there are 5 playoffs, 5 championships rather for the non-select schools, there should be 5 for the select schools.
As someone who attended high school publicly for 1 semester at Fountainblue High in Mandeville and privately for the rest of the time at St. Paul School in Covington, I have somewhat of an interesting perspective on this proposal. I get it. Members of these so-called non-select schools felt disadvantaged by having to face private or select schools in the playoffs that may have the benefit of better resources toward their athletic departments. They wanted a level playing field, and I respect that. But this proposal is single-handedly diluting the value of a Louisiana high school state championship, a high honor for a state that produces the most NFL players per capita. By splitting up these select and non-select schools in the playoffs, you're basically handing out more championships. Because non-select schools may not have been successful in overcoming programs like John Curtis, schools that took the time and effort to build a sustainable winning culture, these non-select schools that voted for the proposal just took the easy way out. Just remove these tough opponents from the equation. Man, if only LSU could have voted to have Alabama removed from the 2012 National Championship because it was going to be too hard. Just have another championship game using teams we feel we're on the same level with. Man, where do I sign? Newsflash, it doesn't work that way, and it shouldn't work here. One of the most memorable football games I remember experiencing as an underclassman at St. Paul's was our beloved Wolves reaching the 5A quarterfinals for the first time in 2007 and getting demolished by eventual state champion Destrehan High on our own turf, led by none other than our good friend Jordan Jefferson. Yeah, we lost by 34, but Destrehan can say they were the true state champions of that season. They beat whatever team, select or non-select, that came their way. And in my opinion, under this new proposal, the term true state champions will no longer exist. If it's not obvious, I don't approve. That's all we got for you today. Thanks for tuning in to Sports Showtime on Tiger TV.
You can catch the highlights or watch full episodes online at tigertv.tv.
Also, make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for the latest news.
Well, try to stay dry. We got a wet one tonight, but still a lot of Netflix to be watched and a lot of people to be cuddled. For Patrick Clay, I'm Alex Cheney. As always, you stay classy, Baton Rouge.